Recording in progress.
Welcome in to the latest episode of Betting the Pitch, the European Soccer Edition. I'm your host, Real_G Warner, on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. Let me get this live stream going so everyone on Twitter knows about it, at the Real_G Warner on that platform, plus Instagram and YouTube. And now that that's out there, hopefully we have some live viewers late night with the Real_G Warner per usual. But we go through the top 5 European soccer leagues. We're 18-4 on best bets. The ultimate best bet coming end of show so far this season. Gonna try to keep that streak alive, and figured since we didn't have a Thursday college basketball podcast on the pregame.com podcast network, I might as well get into soccer. So we are doing a bunch of work this weekend in college football, another extra episode. Stay tuned for that. Plus college basketball, the Need for Seeds college basketball podcast. We'll be recording as always for the weekend. So go through the top 5 European soccer leagues, and I'll pick a best bet, my favorite one from each of the countries. Then I'll mash them all together at the end for a 1-minute video on Instagram at the Real_G Warner and on YouTube at the Real_G Warner. So you can get the 40 minutes or hour or however long this takes all in one sitting. We're off to a great start this season. Thank you for all your support. And hopefully we can keep that streak going alive and well. So we'll start in the English Premier League, which we have no Friday matches. Excuse me. Almost said no Saturday. We do have Saturday matches, but nothing on Friday. So therefore, this could probably be skipped if you're just looking for Friday action, but there will be on other leagues, and you shouldn't skip it because you'll eventually get to this if you are a soccer lover like myself. We'll start with Arsenal hosting Everton. Currently, Arsenal 1 3/4 goal favorite with slightly more juice. All lines are quoted courtesy of BetOnline, Sportsbetting.ag. I have been meaning to try to get some more of an affiliate going with a new sportsbook that I found, but sorry, I've not done that yet. Just podcasted on the Europa League last night, and that's something I forgot to do today, but I will send an email tomorrow. Arsenal 1 3/4 goal favorites to Everton coming off of their Champions League midweek, while Everton had a bye week essentially because high winds canceled the Merseyside derby. Really nice position for Everton to be in, though they're gigantic underdog on the road. In a very tough place to play. Totals 2 3/4 in this one, juiced all the way to over, and it probably should be because I feel like Arsenal have not been the unable to score, not really as able to defend either lately. We've seen a lot more goals in Arsenal matches. I know Joe Dollar, you've been commenting that you think the days of Arsenal unders and fading them away from home as big favorites or just favorites in general, that those days might be over. TBD on that one. Certainly worked at Fullerton. Fullerton. Wow. Basketball coming in at Fulham this weekend. Freudian slip there. Stay tuned for the Need for Seeds college basketball podcast coming up tomorrow. But I lean to Everton. I like the big price. Certainly be waiting to see if we get a full 2 goals. That's gigantic. I think we should see a low-scoring match here, so I like under 2 3/4 as well. Sort of be waiting to see 3, though, because that push on 3 is very important. Moving next to Wolverhampton Wanderers hosting Ipswich Town. And actually, one thing I meant to do before I started this podcast was see who is the manager of Wolverhampton Wanderers. It should be Gary O'Neill. I hope that it is. And it looks like he got backing from the chairman, Jeff Shee. I love Gary O'Neill. He's been a huge moneymaker for me at his time at Bournemouth. And then also when they moved on to Andoni Iraola, which I guess just made Bournemouth a moneymaker forever for me. But then his move to Wolverhampton Wanderers was great last season. It's not been so good this year, but I think a lot of that's been due to a tough schedule, though it's only to get tougher after the next 2 matches. Starting with this Ipswich match, Wolves a half a goal favorite at home with a little bit more juice. Totals 2 3/4, juice more to the under. Now, Wolves and Gary O'Neill was not quiet about it in his post-game interview after a loss at West Ham, which saw 4 decisions go against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And it's disgusting how often that guy gets screwed. And also because I back him a lot, I get screwed too. But I guess no surprise in a world of VAR that only works for certain teams. But Ipswich are certainly not one of those clubs that are going to get a ton more of the respect or help. And they certainly don't help themselves much. Conceding late to give up a 1-0 lead at home to Bournemouth this past weekend, speaking of, and then conceding in stoppage time as well to go from winning 3 points to drawing 1 point to losing 0 points and killing my under. Unfortunately, all those went in the wrong direction. I can't really complain. It wasn't for Ipswich getting screwed, really. It's just, I think, some naive defense, or really just a championship side, not Champions League, championship, English Football League championship side that just can't really play a full 90 minutes or 100 minutes with stoppage time in the top division in England. I do, for some reason, though, some sick reason, I do somehow question Wolverhampton Wanderers. They're better than Ipswich, but I question them as a half of a goal favorite because the spread's it's forcing them to win. I was hoping to get more from Ipswich, honestly, or on the Ipswich side. So it does make me feel like the English Premier League market is either betting against Wolves or potentially betting on Ipswich. I like both those ideas, but probably not at this price. I'll put Ipswich on my list as a half of a goal underdog, but I think my biggest interest here is under 2 3/4. There's been a lot of money lost, especially from my own pocket. I've had a really good English Premier League season so far, but Wolves and unders were a godsend last season. They've not been this year. I do think Wolves as a favorite, though, is a much different position. They've been switching their back lines a lot due to center backs being unavailable, but should have whatever they've been playing with recently, and they've been playing with 3 at the back. I think that gives them a little bit more structure. And honestly, as Gary O'Neill said it after the game in his post-match presser, that West Ham got a goal on a corner from poor defending when they were really struggling. And I think Jared Bowen also alluded to it as the crowd getting a little bit uneasy or impatient. So I think Wolves will keep Ipswich very quiet offensively. I think Ipswich is a bad offense anyway, just because they don't have the money to spend and they're just really relying on Delap to create for himself. And I think Ipswich will also learn from their loss this past weekend. They'll be a lot tighter, I think, from start to finish, which might mean they potentially risk less. So I think under 2 3/4 is my biggest interest in that one. Move next to Newcastle hosting Leicester City. Currently Newcastle a 1 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice on Leicester away from home. Totals 3 1/4. Juice is split both ways. Newcastle are just a team I don't want to fade at home. Gigantic favorite. Certainly don't look like they deserve to be this big. And also going to be looking out to see if Leicester climb to a 2-goal underdog. I can't even imagine I have Leicester 1 3/4 in my models, but at this point, the only thing I think I'd be based on the price, I'm interested in Leicester getting a goal in 3/4, but it's a small interest. Their 2-goal comeback this past weekend was great as a +1 backer. But there's a lot of problems in Leicester. They're certainly one of those promoted sides that just aren't that strong. And Newcastle are so good at home, they can kill anybody, including Leicester City. Lean to under 3 1/4 because it's above my key number of 3, but Newcastle do score at home, so that's a scary thing as well. Moving next to Liverpool, hosting Fulham. Current Liverpool, a 1.5 goal favorite with almost all the juice. Total is 3 1/4, juiced all the way to under. Now, Fulham have been good. Got a big draw at home to Arsenal this past weekend, and Liverpool played Champions League midweek, and Fulham got to rest and prepare for Liverpool, a trip to Anfield. With that said, you can't really prepare for Anfield because it's a really tough place to play. But I do think Fulham can give Liverpool some problems. 1.5 goals is a lot to give a Fulham side that's been very good lately. And I lean to under 3 1/4 because I think Liverpool is really built to control games, not to outscore their opponents. They might have been doing so far this season, but I bet that will come back. That will revert to the mean. For the nightcap in England, we have Nottingham Forest hosting Aston Villa, currently at Pick'em. With slightly more juice actually on the Nottingham Forest side, despite Aston Villa's Champions League. Totals 2.5, juice more to the over as well here. Aston Villa, I don't really trust their defense, which does put under 2.5 in a scary type of situation. I feel like Nottingham Forest matches that go over just never deserve to, but they happen. And I think my biggest interest here is Nottingham Forest as a pick'em, though I do like under 2.5 as a way to bet against the Aston Villa offense, though I am kind of concerned about betting against or I guess betting on the Aston Villa defense, so if you do play under. Moving to Sunday, we have Brighton hosting Crystal Palace. Currently Brighton a half a goal Brighton a half a goal favorite at home. Half a goal underdog is Crystal Palace. Totals 2 3/4, just a little bit more to under. Palace have been better lately. Got scored 2 goals somehow by some miraculous way to draw Manchester City at home last weekend. Now they go to Brighton, which is a big rivalry matchup. You wouldn't think it would be, but I guess it's where London starts heading out towards the country. Brighton not too far from London, of course. For my interest in this one, I like Crystal Palace, a half a goal underdog. I think I'm more interested in under 2 3/4. Brighton's certainly an over team, but I don't really trust their offense as much. And I do think that their inability to hold on to a big lead against Leicester City might impact their game plan in this one. Moving next to Manchester City hosting Manchester United. Currently Manchester City, a 1-goal favorite. Juice is split both ways in this one. Total is 3.5 and is juiced more to the over Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Let me say that again. Manchester City, 1-goal favorite, juices split to Manchester United. Totals 3.25, juice slightly more to over. This is a big derby, of course. Two Manchesters playing together. Manchester City nowhere near the dominance they have been, but we still see a similar line that suggests they should be. Manchester United coming off Europa League on the road in Pilsen in Czechia or Czech Republic. So that's a long trip coming back. We'll see how that impacts these. While Manchester City played a day earlier, at the very least, in Champions League at Juventus in Turin or Torino, Italy, Italia. I think my side here is Manchester United. I like the 1 goal. I also like the under 3.25, as I think that's probably of greater interest to me just because it's on the wrong side of 3. I do think a 2-2 result is very possible, though, so I might try to split and play both side and total to try to make sure I'm as protected as possible, because I think the big clubs, when they usually play together, they do end up having matches that don't see a lot of points and don't see a lot of goals scored, is another way to put it. Ruben Amorim already beat this Manchester City side, but maybe with a better Sporting Lisboa side, at least more coherent and knowing how to play together, unlike Manchester United. I do think the rest disadvantage is a big deal for Man U, and it's important that I have this full 1 for a potential push if Manchester United play a tight game and lose. But I think that number is probably going to stay, and I would expect Manchester money to hit. Manchester City money, that is. Moving next to Chelsea hosting Brentford. Currently, Chelsea a 1.5-goal favorite at home with all the juice totals 3.5, and it's juiced more to the over. Incredible comeback win for Chelsea on the road, down 2-0 at Tottenham Hotspur. I didn't expect it. Market clearly got that game wrong as Chelsea moved to a favorite and for 2-0 down, but ultimately got the money. Brentford, awful road team. I finally just decided to give up on saying that Brentford was a bad team in general, because at home they're not. On the road they are, though. So I don't think I want much to do with plus 1.5. I do think this is a high-scoring matchup. 3.5 makes sense for a total. There we go, Joe Dollar. I like over 3.5. Chelsea hosting Brentford. There we go. That might be the last over on this podcast, at least for this episode. But I try to get 1 in there usually, and honestly, I'm not making them up. Just I know Joe likes those. Moving next to Southampton hosting Tottenham. Currently, Southampton a 3/4 goal underdog at home with more juice on Tottenham. Total is 3.75. She's pretty heavily to under. Southampton are impossible to trust. I can trust that they will give up a bad goal every game, but their totals are gigantic, and so pretty much even with a bad goal conceded, that still means 2.75 on this total instead of the 3.75 if you do that math. I think Tottenham, they are in bad shape. Just went on the road to Ibrox in Glasgow and Scotland to play Rangers. Now they're going to Southampton. Not too long of travel, but that is an extra match, of course, and a really quick turnaround time to the late window on Sunday. Southampton is probably my only interest here, that 3/4 of the goal. I just feel like there's going to be a ton of goals scored, which does make the home underdog less than 1 even less valuable. However, moving to Monday, Bournemouth hosts West Ham United. Currently, Bournemouth 3/4 goal favorite. A little bit more juice than West Ham away from home. Total is 3, juiced all the way to over. I don't trust West Ham to score. I do trust them on set pieces that they'll eventually get one with 10, 11, 12, 14 corners, however many it will take. I think Bournemouth, though, will set up in defensive fashion. And it's a little bit weird for me to see them as this big of a favorite. I think I'm more interested in the under here than in West Ham as a side, but certainly wouldn't hate that idea because I do feel like Bournemouth's valuation is getting pretty far stretched. For my best bet in England, I'm going to go with... It's tough because I usually like to stick with Saturday matchups so it doesn't compete with the Sunday NFL, because I know that's a big juggernaut. And Saturday is pretty limited because there's a big college basketball slate, thank God. Stay tuned for the Need for Seeds College Basketball podcast presented by the Pregame.com podcast network. But I think it's probably better to go on Saturday than on Sunday. So, but it's in the early. Here we go. I'll go Fulham under 3.25 goals on the road at Liverpool as my best bet in English Premier League, and that is a Saturday early start. Moving now to Spanish La Liga, and we'll go to Friday, where Real Valladolid hosts Valencia in a battle of V's at the bottom of the table. Valladolid, a 1/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 2, and it's juiced slightly more to the over. Valladolid finally got rid of their manager, brought in a new one. We'll see how that goes. They initially hired a youth team manager who was in their own organization. We'll see if they figured that out and hired somebody else. I might as well put that up. Real Valladolid manager. Let's see. It is not Paulo Pezzolano. He's already been fired. So seems like we're still rocking a Luis Cesar San Pedro. He looked like a youth team manager, to say the least, based on his outfit and dress. Let's see. Alvaro Rubio, yep, still there. Born 1979 and post 11 days, so still got a UT manager, so they still have no idea what they're doing. Though Valencia can't score goals. Their crowd was super mad at them after they lost at home to Rayo Vallecano, I believe, last weekend. Good winner for Rayo backers and the under, like your boy. I think Valladolid is my interest here, though. I like the quarter of a goal just because big name is a road favorite. Doesn't mean they're actually any good. And I lean to under 2 because those things correlate. And I just don't think Valencia scored goals here on Friday. Moving to Saturday, we have Espanyol hosting Osasuna. Currently, Espanyol a pick'em with more juice on Osasuna away from home. The total is 2.25. Juice really heavily to under. Espanyol, they are not good. They are newly promoted. They're going to try like heck to stay in the league. We'll see if that actually happens. I'm not going to bet on that. I'll put it that way. In terms of this number, I think they're getting a lot of respect, and Osasuna has been bad away from home. Didn't look great this past weekend, but Osasuna are much better. I need to at least get some candy, get a quarter of a goal or something like that in Espanyol to play here. Lean to under 2.25 because I don't really see Espanyol scoring many goals. Osasuna, I feel like I never trust them to score, but they do have some really high totals based on their XG. I expect that to normalize, but it's hard to see that all happening in a single day or single match day, or jornada, as they say in Espanol. I'm going to go. So Espanyol's on my list, but they're not a quarter goal underdog yet. I don't think I want them at pick'em. I'll lean to under 2.25 in that matchup early on Saturday. Mallorca then hosts Girona. Currently, Mallorca a quarter goal favorite at home to Girona, who just had a big matchup in Champions League. Total is 2 on this one, juiced all the way to over. Mallorca got to sit home and kind of lick their wounds after not playing very well at home to Barcelona, and then really collapsing and I think deserving better at Celta de Vigo, but a rough red card certainly didn't help. As for a Girona perspective here, I'll lean to it's rare to see Girona an underdog on the road at Mallorca, but so I'll lean to Girona getting that quarter of a goal, though unfortunately coming off a big Champions League match, it's never really a great thing to think about or want to deal with, to say the least. I'll lean to under 2 in that matchup as well, because I think Girona, they've been so banged up this year, and they're going to play Mallorca style, as all do when you go to the island. Next is Sevilla hosting Celta de Vigo. Currently Sevilla, a quarter goal favorite, a little bit more juice. Total is 2.5. Juice really heavily to under. And I think this is a reflection of a lot of great counterattacking goals from Sevilla on the road at Atletico Madrid. They won't have that same likelihood, I don't think, against Celta de Vigo. Celta's not as great of a defense, of course, as Atleti, but they can't score, and they won't be so caught with their pants down, though Atleti somehow did rally to win. My interest in this one, I do lean to Celta getting a quarter of a goal because I just want to be against Sevilla as much as possible. I don't trust that offense. But biggest interest or bigger interest is probably under 2.5. To the nightcap on Saturday, Rayo Vallecano hosts Real Madrid in a Madrid derby, if you will. Rayo, a 1-goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2.5, juice all the way to over. I see no reason to get off the fade Real Madrid bandwagon, train, choo-choo, whatever you want to say. Rayo are a team I like to back, especially at home, and I think they make this a low-scoring, tough match on Real Madrid, though any total below 3 for Real Madrid does certainly give me some pause. Moving to Sunday, we got Atletico Madrid hosting Getafe. Currently, Atleti, a 1.25 goal favorite with all the juice on Getafe away from home. Total is 2.25, juice really heavily to under. Very small total, basically reflects Getafe being in this matchup versus Atletico Madrid. Scoring a ton of goals lately, including 4 against Sevilla in a game I didn't expect them to get 2 this past weekend. Conceded 3, so 7 in total. Getafe are the defensive side that everyone wants or hates to see. They did lose to Real Madrid 2-0 a couple weekends ago. We think we see the same type of path, though that total I think was 2.5, I want to say. It feels like a reaction to that, especially a very juiced one. I can't imagine this hits 2, but certainly wouldn't be surprised if we've seen La Liga totals below 2 at times this year. I'll put Getafe on my list under 2.25, though I don't really love, or I'm trying to get it more away from backing unders on underdogs I don't want to trust away from home. Moving next to Alaves, so saying Athletic Club Bilbao. Currently Alaves, a quarter goal underdog at home, while the juice on Athletic Club. Total is 2, juiced all the way to over. Alaves under a new manager, Coudet, formerly of Celta de Vigo. Felt like letting Luis Garcia go was a big mistake, but we'll see. Things weren't going great for him, but he deserved it after bringing them up and then playing so well last season, I felt. Athletic Club away from home, really tough to play. Alaves' defense has not been great. I think this is going to be Alaves pretty much stuck in their own area this whole time. We saw a little bit of a preview of that. They did find some goals on very few chances on the road at Osasuna. I think under 2 is my biggest interest, but I guess I got to lean to the dog here as well. Quarter of a goal feels pretty cheap, though, and I don't think that Athletic Club are going to be looking past this matchup as they are playing very good football right now. Moving next to Real Sociedad hosting Las Palmas, coming off a Europa League matchup, as are Athletic Club Bilbao in an earlier start, so maybe that does mean something. But Real Sociedad, a 1.25 favorite. All the juice on Las Palmas away from home totals 2.25. Juice pretty heavily to over. Las Palmas have been playing great ever since they switched managers. I don't think that's a huge statement for a manager who's bounced around the Liga clubs over and over and over again. Diego Martinez, I believe. But at this point, it's hard to argue against it. Real Sociedad are going to control the ball, control the game. And Las Palmas are not the same type of style team that stayed in the league under Pimienta Garcia last season, I believe is his name. Moved on to Sevilla. But it's hard to argue with that. Real Sociedad are playing really well, but they did have Europa League on Thursday, so that's a big deal for them. And we'll see how those legs look on Sunday, that they probably will be rotating significantly, so that definitely might deteriorate the lineup and certainly the cohesion. Same window, same time frame. Villarreal hosts Real Betis. Villarreal not playing in a European this year, while Real Betis, they are playing in the Conference League, so basically rotating every match day, but still means something. Villarreal, a 3/4 goal favorite at home. All the juice on Real Betis totals 2.75, juice all the way to over. Villarreal, I mean, they've been playing better than the results, but it's hard to argue that they can't they squander big leads with golazos conceded in stoppage time, or just can't seem to hang on. Didn't play very well, Athletic Club, and conceded goals that they probably shouldn't have. Their goalkeeper got hurt. Those are all big problems, I think. I'm not really sure about the book on the backup. And Real Betis, they've been scoring goals, so they've not played with a striker all season. I don't really know what to do this one. I do feel like Real Betis are a little bit undervalued as a 3/4 goal underdog based on how Villarreal have been playing. Maybe this is the time they get right. I'll put Betis on my list at 2.75, and I'll wait to see 3. And I think that push is very important. Last but not least, on Sunday, Barcelona hosts Leganes, and currently Barca are a 2.25 goal favorite. If they were a 1/4 goal favorite, everyone would bet them, and every casino would go bankrupt. But Barca, 2.25 goal favorite to Leganes. Total is 3.5, just all the way to over. Leganes are going to have to try their best to stay in the right side of things and prevent that first goal as long as possible. I don't know if there's much I want to do here. 3.5 honestly feels like a small total for a Barcelona match that they're going to dominate. For the best bet on this episode from Spain, at the very least, which will be combined with England, France, Italy, and Germany, and one will be selected end of show to put that 18-4 record on the line. I will go with the Real Madrid Rayo Vallecano. I will take Rayo, a 1-goal underdog at home. There we go. Moving next to Serie A in Italy. We'll start on Friday with Empoli hosting Torino. Currently, Empoli a pick'em with all the juice. Total is 1.75, juice all the way to over. I hope this hits 2 because I don't trust either of these teams to score goals. Empoli somehow scored 4 this past weekend against Verona's tough defense, though a lot of deflections and early goals all contributed to that. I guess I'll wait and see if Torino move to an underdog, but they've not been playing great. Goals have been really hard for them, so my biggest interest is not available yet. I have a rule I won't play under below 2, so we'll see if that happens. Thank you for those of you that are joining live. If you got any questions, we're on Italy right now, but feel free to throw something in the chat. Moving next to Saturday, we'll start with Cagliari hosting Atalanta. Currently, Cagliari a 1-goal underdog at home, as Atalanta must go to after a Real Madrid home match in Champions League, must go to Sardinia into the islands. Total is 3, just all the way to under. Cagliari are great. They score a lot more at home because they're a lot more aggressive, but I really like their competitiveness. I love their manager, Davide Nicola. So give me the +1, and I'll lean to under 3 as well. Gigantic total for any match involving Cagliari. I think they were 3 last weekend on the road at Fiorentina in the early match on Sunday and lost 1-0. So that would certainly work for this matchup. Udinese then hosts Napoli. Currently Udinese, a 3/4 goal underdog at home with more juice. Total is 2.25, juice pretty heavily to under. Napoli just haven't been scoring goals. They've been winning matches. until they ran into Lazio last weekend. I like Udinese as a home underdog. I'm waiting to see this hit a full goal of insurance, and I lean to under 2.25 is my biggest interest in that one. Juventus then hosts Venezia, coming off their match with Manchester City in Champions League. Juve, a 1.5 goal favorite with all the juice on Venezia away from home. Total is 2.5, juice pretty heavily to over. Venezia got not robbed, but pretty tough break for an offside and interfering with play to prevent an equalizer in an ugly weather matchup that somehow saw them knee a ball or maybe groin a ball into their own net for their first lead being surrendered, and then ended up tying the match after they fell behind 2-1. So 1-0 Venezia, 1-1 Como, 2-1 Como, 2-2 Venezia, 3-2 Venezia, then annulled. Juve, though, this is a gigantic number for them. Venezia, I don't really trust away from them. They did play Inter very tough away from home early in the year, but who knows if that's something you can expect to recur. I think my biggest interest here is under 2.5. Moving to Sunday, Lecce hosts Monza. Currently, Lecce a pick'em with all the juice. Total is 2, juice all the way to over. Monza have been really struggling to score goals. I don't trust Lecce to either. And Lecce were really bad on the road at Roma, but maybe some of that was misfortune. And some penalties for sure, though they got one themselves. I think from a Monza perspective, they're going to go in and keep this low scoring. So I like under 2, especially as we only have a pick'em right now. And that's really not, I don't really want pick'ems away from home if there's any sort of home field advantage. And I think there is for Lecce, specifically in the boot of Italy in the Puglia region. We'll move next to Bologna hosting Fiorentina. Currently Bologna a pick'em with more juice, totals 2.25, juice more to the over. Fiorentina are way better, but they also had Conference League this week. They've been rotating for it. Bologna had Champions League. A lot of things going all these different directions. I think Fiorentina are more interesting to me. I'd love to see them move to an underdog. We don't have that yet. And I'll play under 2.25 as my biggest interest in this one, though it certainly doesn't really fit the road team. I think it's going to be more of a Bologna style to see a low-scoring match because they don't really score goals. Parma then hosts Verona. Currently, Parma a half a goal favorite at home with more juice. Totals 2.75, juice more to the over. I don't know what to do with Verona at this point. Can't trust them. Don't want to deal with them at all. Honestly, lead over. There's a second over for you. Joe Dollar, take that to the bank. Over 2.75. Move next to Como hosting Roma. Currently, Como a quarter goal underdog at home with more juice on Roma away from home. Of course, this line is ridiculous. Totals 2.5, juice more to the under. A lot of respect for Como. They've had it all season. It's really not worked out well for the Serie A market, but they keep doing it. Roma are not good, though, and I think my biggest interest, rather than Roma as a road favorite, is, of course, to side with Serie A and somehow be interested in Como as a quarter goal underdog at home, especially after Roma had Braga in Europa League midweek, but I'll lean under 2.5 as another interest in that matchup. Moving to Sunday nightcap of this Giornata, we have Milan hosting Genoa. Currently Milan a 1.5 favorite, all the juice on Genoa away from home. 2.75 is the total, juice more to the over. Milan have been scoring a ton of goals. They had early Champions League midweek, should be really well rested for a Sunday late night game. Genoa have not looked good to me. I think biggest interest for me is under 2.75, though I'd love to see that hit 3 and probably don't want that until it gets there. Moving to Monday, Lazio hosts Inter Milan in a how many times can they play? I guess Lazio have been playing Napoli a ton. Never mind. But Lazio, a quarter goal underdog at home with more juice on Inter away from home. Totals 2.5, juice more all the way to the under at this point. Inter are certainly a good team, best team in Italy until the crown is taken from off their heads. Lazio, though, is a home underdog. They've been playing very well this year. I lean that way, and I lean to under 2.5. For my best bet in Italy, I'll go with Venezia under 2.5 goals. On the road at Juventus. I'll pay to see Juve score 3 goals or see 3 goals in a Juve matchup. Moving now to France, we'll start with Friday. We go to Toulouse hosting Saint-Etienne. Currently, Toulouse a 1.25 goal favorite. I don't know that anyone who knows French Ligue football would have ever expected this type of price, but Saint-Etienne have not been good, especially away from home. Totals 2.75. She's pretty heavily to under, and Saint-Etienne actually got lost at home to a dominant road team in Marseille last weekend, actually in Saint-Etienne, but hosting Marseille. Toulouse are better, but this is a big price. So I lean to Saint-Etienne getting a 1.25 goals. It's probably not big enough, even though it's above 1, which is significant. Next, we'll move to Saturday. We'll go to Marseille hosting Lille. Currently, Marseille, with no European football, a quarter goal favorite at home to Lille. More juice on the Marseille side as well. Totals 2.5, juice more to the under. I'm interested in Lille. I am every time they're an underdog, and I will put that on the line here. Lean to under 2.5, but I think I'm more interested in Lille as a side at this point. As for the nightcap, Reims host Association Sportive de Monaco. Currently, Reims a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 2.75. Juice more to the over. Monaco are great, but they had a big matchup on the road at Arsenal in Champions League midweek. Not a great time to go on the road to Reims, who can score. So give me Reims a half of a goal underdog at home. Moving to Sunday, Montpellier hosting Nice. Currently, Montpellier a quarter goal underdog at home with more juice. Total is 2.75. Juice more to the under. Nice were big underdogs and kept climbing in Europa League on Thursday. Got now a quick turnaround to the earliest French Ligue 1 match on Sunday. That's a tough position to be in. So give me the home dog team that quarter of a goal, and I'll lean to under 2.75. Though Montpellier are never a good defense. Their defense has been improving, but Nice are usually a good defense that has not been doing well, has been playing a central defensive midfielder in their back line. So a lot of questions there. It's really want to see lineups before that matchup on Sunday. Stade Rennais then hosts Angers. Currently Rennes a 1-goal favorite at home. All the juice on Angers away from home. Totals 2.5. Juice more to the under. Took a tough red card in the first half and really didn't do much offensively till a late goal off a hand was ruled out on the road, a loss to Nantes. Angers got dominated by Lyon at home, but that happens. Lyon are awesome and look like they're really rounding into form. Again, if you're in the chat live, feel free to throw some questions in here, and I will put them on if I see them. But as for this matchup, Angers 1-goal underdog, I'm interested there. Though I'm pretty concerned about that. They just have been playing so well, and the French market has been backing them a ton. Also lean to under 2.5, but that would be certainly the way Angers want to play, while Rennes want to outscore everyone. Moving next to Stade Brestois hosting Nantes. Currently Brest, the quarter goal favorite at home with all the juice. Totals 2.25. Juice more to the under. Stade Brestois are coming off Champions League, and how do they balance that out? I lean to Nantes. It's going to be a tough thing going on the road, but Brest, other than bad weather, aren't really known for a huge crowd fan base and really being intimidating. So somehow they found a way into Champions League. It's amazing. But lean to Nantes, especially as this one looks like it's headed towards a half of a goal, and lean to under 2.25. I think this is a great time for Nantes to take advantage of a weary Brest side. We move next to Le Havre in that same window. They host Strasbourg. Currently Le Havre a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2.5. Juice all the way to under. Strasbourg with a 0-0 draw with Reims last weekend was a shock. I don't think anyone saw that coming. Certainly not odds makers, but Reims did cover away from home, which is nice. Strasbourg I don't trust because they make big mistakes. Le Havre I thought outplayed Nice, and then all of a sudden we're down 2-0. Got a late goal for a push on the side that killed an under for me, but I guess c'est la vie, appropriate because that's French. Le Havre, a quarter goal underdog at home. I also lean under 2.5. Though Strasbourg can certainly mess that up. Probably like the side more than the total, surprisingly, though Le Havre matches are so low scoring. Last but not least, PSG hosts Lyon in a big battle. PSG coming off Champions League, Lyon coming off Eintracht Frankfurt in the Europa League. PSG a 1.5 favorite with all the juice on Lyon away from home. Totals 3.75. She's really heavily to under. And I've been honestly waiting to find a team that's somewhat close to PSG in talent so I could fade PSG because they've been playing really badly and they've been really honestly struggling with the good teams with the bad teams in Ligue 1. But every time I seem to get involved, I feel like I'm fortunate to lose by 2 and push. So I don't know necessarily if that's how this one will go, but it certainly is where I lean to Lyon in a big battle of what used to be a very competitive matchup, and generally I think will be, especially on Sunday. For my best bet in Ligue 1 in France on Saturday, I'll go with Lille, a quarter goal underdog on the road at Marseille. Last but not least, we'll come to the Bundesliga as I'm wearing a Bundesliga shirt, but don't worry, don't be confused. I'm not a big fan, though they did win me a lot of money on their run to the Champions League final last year, and I thought deserved to win there over Real Madrid, but c'est la vie, or whatever that would be in German. On Friday, we have SC Freiburg, Sport Club Freiburg, hosting VfL Wolfsburg. Currently, Freiburg, a quarter goal favorite at home with all the juice. Totals 2.5, juice all the way to over. Both these teams played on Sunday. Wolfsburg coming off, and actually both played in the DFB Pokal midweek last week as well. Neither are playing European football, so a lot of just we'll see how tired these teams are at this point. Freiburg have been great at home for years, got a new manager in there, and I'm not really sold, but the results have been there. I lean to Wolfsburg. They've been playing very good football, and they have an identity, which is to play a counterattacking style, defend their way, and then rush up the field. I love that situation. I'd like to see them move to a half of a goal underdog. We don't have that yet, and lean to under 2.5 in that matchup as well. Football Club Augsburg then hosts Bayer Leverkusen. Currently Augsburg, a 1-goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 2.75, just all the way to over. Leverkusen have gotten out of their doldrums, but I think it's too much for them to catch Bayern Munchen at this point, unless they go beat them in their home match in the second half of the season. Augsburg are terrible away from home, but they're at home here, so that can throw that out the window. Lean to Augsburg in the 1 goal of insurance, and lean to under 2.75, though both of those are not that strong on my list. Push on 3 would be very important. It looks like the juice is heading in that direction. Move next to Mainz 05 hosting Bayern Munchen. Another just horror matchup for Mainz. They got dominated in the DFB Pokal earlier this year, I believe, and it just seems to happen a lot. Anyway, Mainz a 1.25 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 3, just more to the over. I lean to Mainz. I like the 1.25 at home if I have to pick something, because I'm not playing unders with Bayern unless I have a really good reason to do so. But I'm not sure that's that close either to making the card. Next, we have Borussia Mönchengladbach hosting Holstein Kiel. Currently, Gladbach a 1.25 goal favorite with all the juice is split both ways. Total is 3.25 with all the juice to under. Holstein Kiel are going to have a tough time going to Gladbach, where they're very good at home. They were the winner of the Ultimate Best Bet last weekend show with a 1-1 draw with Borussia Dortmund. Maybe that's why I'm wearing the BVB on my chest, the Schwarz-Gelben, as you'd call it in German. But I think Gladbach are far better. They are way better at home. Holstein Kiel are been holding on for dear life, but the total is above 3, so that's my biggest interest there. Another one that I feel like I might have to let go. Next, we'll go to Union Berlin hosting VfL Bochum. Currently, Union a 1-goal favorite at home with all the juice on Bochum away from home. Total is 2.5, just really heavily to under, and it should be. These are two teams that can't score goals. Bochum are playing so defensively, and I don't think that anything's going to change. They're just trying to hang in matches until they lose at the end. Union Berlin, 2-0 lead on the road at Stuttgart last weekend, Friday to start the weekend. A bad, I think, foreshadowing for how my weekend went. But Union, 2-0 lead. Usually, they used to be able to close that out. They can barely score 2 goals in a month now, it seems. So I lean under, lean to Bochum getting a full goal of insurance, but I don't think it's enough for me, even against a barren, anemic, whatever you want to call it, Union Berlin offense. St. Pauli then hosts Werder Bremen in the nightcap, the Topspiel. Somehow, I guess it's a northern derby. They're really trying to fight that, I guess, the Hamburg side, but not the big one, and a Bremen side in the north, I guess. But St. Pauli, I pick them slightly more juice at home. Totals 2.5, juice more to the under. Now, St. Pauli did get a win at home over Holstein Kiel, another promoted side from the Zweite Liga, but Werder Bremen are a different cat. Werder don't score at home, but they do away from home. I think my biggest interest here is under 2.5. Certainly not the most beautiful of matchups. So I'll be waiting to see if Werder Bremen move to an underdog, because I just don't trust St. Pauli to score. Moving to Sunday, we have Heidenheim hosting VfB Stuttgart. Currently, Heidenheim a 0.5 goal underdog after coming off Conference League play. All the juice on Stuttgart away from home. Totals 2.75, juice all the way to over. I'm not a believer in the Stuttgart offense, so I'll be looking to play Heidenheim in some version, which is the back their defense, which is scary. Would love to see this hit 3. Borussia Dortmund then hosts TSG Hoffenheim, coming off Europa League. Dortmund off Champions League. Dortmund a 1.25 favorite at home again after Barcelona midweek. Totals 3.25, juice all the way to over. Juice is split both ways on the side. I don't like Hoffenheim away from home. I don't like their strategy. I don't like their style. I lean to over 3.75, over 3.25, 3.25. I was so excited to tell Joe Dollar that's 3 overs I'm suggesting in this podcast. But at this point, that's my biggest interest, over 3.25. And I got to actually change how I write this down. So make sure I don't screw this up. If you're here and you're live, you got a comment, throw it in there. I see people in the chat. Go ahead and throw that in, and I'll see if we can get to it before we wrap the show up. We're actually going light speed for me. Very happy about that. This is our last portion of the show, but stick around. Best bet, ultimate best bets coming, 18-4 year to date. RB Leipzig then hosts Eintracht Frankfurt in the rematch of the DFB Pokal just a few short weekends or midweeks ago. And Leipzig dominated Eintracht Frankfurt that matchup, and then got a big win in the Bundesliga last weekend. I don't know, maybe the ship is turning and Marco Rosa is not getting fired. We'll see. But Leipzig, a 1/4 goal favorite at home with all the juice. Total is 3, juice all the way to over. Eintracht Frankfurt, they've kind of been not great, didn't respond very well against Augsburg last weekend either, and then had a trip to Lyon in Europa League, while Leipzig had extra rest from Champions League. All kind of points to Leipzig. I do like Eintracht Frankfurt. I want to see them continue to climb on the price. They, I think, moved from a quarter goal underdog on the road at Lyon to a half a goal underdog. So maybe that happens again against Leipzig. So I lean to Eintracht Frankfurt right now, getting that quarter of a goal. But they are very scary to play unders with. So I don't know that I want much to do with that one. For my best bet in the German Bundesliga, I'm going to go with that St. Pauli Werder Bremen under 2.5 goals. I think there's some value there. I don't see anyone scoring that matchup, honestly. So that might make it easy enough. Before we get to the ultimate best bet, because we finished the top 5 European soccer leagues in probably record time. Amazing. This was 40 minutes when it's usually 40 minutes when I just do it on Friday night, it seems, or maybe even later. But want to plug some things. So college football podcast coming out at Big East Bend. We did one for this weekend with our good friend Jeff Lenard joining, former Navy offensive lineman, to talk about Navy and Army, plus the college football playoff first round. We also will be doing another episode talking about the bowl season, and there's a free contest uncovered on pregame.com, forgetting my gambling websites, and free contest on covers. Wow, I almost did it again. Free cover. Wow. Free contest, contest, free contest. Go get some units, finish the top something, get some cash prizes at pregame.com. Go check that out. You can see it probably on the various feeds at Pregame Now is the best place on Twitter. Make sure you're following me there as well at @thereal_G Warner. But the ultimate best bet portion of the show, we had a great record. I'm going to say that in 1 second when I start this video. I haven't figured out this new phone and new YouTube situation or new Instagram situation is kind of making me mad, but it's had changed the whole way I do this. Maybe I'll try to make it on YouTube and put it on Instagram afterwards. Maybe that's the way to do it. But other than that, I guess it's time to get into it. So let's start. Hey, this is @real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet portion of the Betting the Pitch soccer program. I'm 18-4 on my best bets in this portion of the show. That's 82% so far this year. 9-0 last 9. We're 14-1 last 15. We're going to try to keep that going. So for the English Premier League, I like Fulham under 3.25 goals. In La Liga in Spain, I like Rayo Vallecano, 1-goal underdog at home to Real Madrid. In Serie A, I like Venezia under 2.5 goals. In Ligue in France, I like Lille getting a quarter of a goal. In the German Bundesliga, I like Werder Bremen under 2.5 goals. But for the ultimate best bet on this episode, I'm going to go with Rayo Vallecano, 1-goal underdog coming off a big win on the road to Valencia last weekend. Now they get Real Madrid coming off a trip to Atalanta and Bergamo, Italy midweek. Rayo, a full goal of insurance at home, make this really hard on Real Madrid. It's a low-scoring matchup, and I like the idea of fading Hala Madrid y not a must at this point in the season. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you all bright and out early because I never sleep, but it's been fun, been real. Hopefully I don't die too early for never sleeping.
Recording stopped.